Greetings, Android users. This is Reverend Kyle, your Minister of Mobile Devices, and I'm sitting here with the new Google Nexus 7 tablet. This video is going to be an idiot's guide on how to unlock and root this device. Its popularity is going to make it necessary for people to be able to do that sort of thing in the easiest method possible. And so I've taken it upon myself to make this guide for you. Now let's take a look at the tablet here before we get started. This tablet now currently is not unlocked, it's not rooted. It's basically straight out of the box, so to speak. The only thing I've done here is put a shortcut to my settings on my desktop. So I'm going to go into that here. Now in the settings themselves, we need to do a couple things before we get the computer involved. First of all, if you look at the About tablet down at the bottom, there is a build number right here, and yours may say what mine says, which is JRO03D, or it might say something different. You're going to want to write that down so you have that information later when we need that. So let's go back to our settings here, and the next thing we're going to take a look at is developer options. Now if you do developer options, you'll notice that it's off by default. Now if you turn it on, all of these items, after you hit OK, all of these items will now become available to you. The one that we want to select here is the USB debugging. So by checking that off, it says for development purposes only, which obviously we know that, and we press OK. So now when we go to plug this device into the computer will recognize it differently than if you would normally have not had that checked. So let's go over to the computer and I'll show you a few things here. Okay, so I'm on my computer here, and the device is still sitting on the screen we were at. I do want to give you a small demonstration here. I'm going to turn USB debugging off for just a moment, and I'm going to plug in the cable into the device. And the purpose of this is to show you what we're going to get if we were to not have USB debugging turned on. You'll notice that the device shows up as a portable media player on the computer, and you can actually go in and browse through the internal storage and all of that. And that's important to understand that USB debugging is actually going to turn that off. So I'm going to unplug the device. And obviously it's no longer connected as a media device on the machine. And I'm going to turn USB debugging back on, and now I'm going to plug it back in. Now it still shows up as a internal storage item, and that's fine. But if you go into your device manager, you'll also notice that it shows up as Other Devices Nexus. Now that's something we're going to come back and look at here in a moment. I'm going to go back to the home screen here on the tablet. We need to go get a file, and I'm going to close these here temporarily. The file we need is the Nexus Root Toolkit. Now I'm using version 1.5.2 just because of the nature of the way YouTube videos are. A week from now, I don't want this to be obsolete. I still want this same process to work. So if this version somehow increases because there's been something new added to it, be aware that it should still work the same way. If it changes dramatically, I'll come back and revisit the video. So this file is 130 megabytes roughly, and this is something that you'll want to download. I'll have a link in the description of the video, as well as a link to it on my website, which is reverendkyle.com. So let's go ahead and install this. So I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to tell it to run. Now in case you haven't figured it out yet, I am running a computer running Windows 7 Ultimate 64-bit. This process should work for any of your Windows 7 or potentially even Windows XP needs. Now, this is the actual driver, the actual toolkit itself. You'll notice it put a shortcut on my desktop for me as well, which is very convenient. Let's go back and take a look at those drivers again. Now, there's a way to install them here through the initial setup. On previous attempts, this was a lot more of a mess than doing it myself. So I'm just going to show you the easy way that I have found to do this. So I'm going to go into, we're going to go into Device Manager again. And in Device Manager, we still have that Other Devices Nexus. Now, if you don't see that, it's very possible that you already have drivers installed or it's been picked up as something else. That could be good or it could be bad. I'll show you what the end result is supposed to be, and hopefully it will turn out that way for you as well. So the Nexus item that has no idea what it's supposed to be doing, we're going to right-click and we're going to do Update Driver Software. Now we're going to browse my computer for the driver software, and I installed the toolkit. It went straight onto my C drive. In there, and I'll show you this here. So on the C drive, here's the WUGS Nexus Root Toolkit. I guess I should do a shout out here for WUGS. He's the one that developed this. Thank you very much. Just the root of it is all you need to select, and you hit Next. And you might get a little security warning saying, oh, this isn't signed, but we don't care, and we're going to install the driver anyway. Okay, notice that it's changed the name now. If we go into our Device Manager, that other Nexus is gone, and now we have an Android ADB interface. Now that's important because in order for the computer to talk to the Nexus device, it needs to be able to talk to it in ADB interface. I don't want to say mode, but a situation where ADB is capable. Some of you out there who are watching this might say, hey, I already have ADB installed and I can just throw a couple commands at it. Fantastic, that's good for you. But this video guide is meant for the average Joe to be able to pass through all of that and just go straight to this toolkit. So now that we have the drivers installed, let's go back and look at the toolkit and see what kind of damage we can do with it. Now the toolkit has several options available to you. What we're going to do here first before we do anything is we're going to hit this change button. Now there are several models and several items, phones and devices that this toolkit works for, and it's very important that we choose the one that we are actually doing right now. If you go all the way down to the bottom, the Nexus 7 tablet, and you'll notice that there are a few options here. Now remember when I told you to write down that build number? The build number is important because if you're on a previous version, a previous build, it'll have this JRN84D or something in that realm, whereas the newer versions are JRO03. Now you'll notice this one says C, but mine was a D, and that's fine. That just means that I installed a small update that they put out recently. So this is what I'm going to use here, is the JRO03C. I can predict that as new builds come out, this toolkit will be updated with the new builds available. So I'm going to choose that and I'm going to hit apply. So from here, we need to make some decisions. You do have the ability of making a backup before you tinker with this at all, and I'm not going to tell you to do that or not, but if you are a cautious person, you may find it necessary to do the backup. Over here is the unlock. Now this is one of the major reasons we're doing this video. You have to unlock your device before you can root it. Now I must warn you, this is extremely important that you understand what I'm about to say. If you unlock your device in order to root it, if you unlock your device, it is going to completely wipe the device. It's going to do what's considered to be factory reset. So you want to make sure that you are set to do that before you hit this unlock. I can't stress that enough. If you unlock your device, it is going to do what's considered a factory reset. your email profile, your Google Market profile, whatever, is all of your apps will be gone. That's just really important that you understand that that's going to happen. Okay, so I'm going to hit unlock now, and it's giving me this script will unlock your device, and you press OK. And if you read that box, it does tell you basically all the same things that I just told you as well. So it's checking ADB. Now that's important because it needs to know that it can communicate to the device correctly. So we're just going to sit here and wait for a moment. Okay, now it doesn't seem to be finding it. And this is something that I've experienced before. If it doesn't find it, that's okay. All you need to do is unplug the device and plug it back in. And I actually went in and terminated the process here and try it again. So I've unplugged it, I've plugged it back in. I'm going to show you in Device Manager that it is there, ADB interface. Okay, and I'm going to do unlock again. Aha, see? So and you can see two things here. This is very important. Number one, if at first it doesn't work, turn it off, turn it back on again. What happened here is that probably the driver itself, since it was a new install of the driver, it decided that it needed to do some things. So unplugging it, plugging it back in. It's very important that you saw that that happens to me as well. Okay, so it's telling me now that you should see a screen on your device titled Unlock Bootloader. On your device, highlight Yes to unlock with the volume keys. Then use the power button to select it. And it does. It says that right here, Unlock Bootloader. It's already on Yes. I'm going to hit the power button to say yes to that. And I don't know if you can see it. It says unlocking now, and it's very tiny writing up there, but it indicates that the process is going here. And we'll let it stew here for a moment. And that's kind of why I'm showing you both the device and the computer so you can see the whole process. So it's rebooting your device. Now notice this right here, very important, that little unlock indicates that the device is now unlocked. And previously, and if you have yours now, you can notice that when you start it up at first, that's not there. But now that you've got it unlocked, it's indicating that on the screen. So it's kind of a nice way of knowing that it was a successful venture. On my screen, it's telling me some steps that once I'm booted back up, go through the initial setup or skip it, and then enable USB debugging on your device, and then press OK. So that's what I have to do here now. I'm going to press OK to this. I'm going to leave the toolkit up, and I'm going to wait for the device to boot here, and then I'll have to go through the initial setup of the device. So I'm going to come back here once the device is set back up. Okay, I'm just quickly flipping through all of the, quick and easies, because this is all stuff that I can come back and do later. Setup is complete. Your device is set up and ready to use. Okay, so this is kind of what I wanted, is I just wanted to get it all set up and ready to go. So now the next step is to go back to the computer. Well, we need to turn USB debugging back on our device, and we can actually do that from settings here. We'll go back to accessibility. I'm sorry, not accessibility. Developer options, and turn it on. And do USB debugging again. So this is just the same way we did it before. And now that's on. Okay, so now that we've got that going again, we can go back to the tool and take the next steps to root it. Okay, so let's root our device now. We've got the USB debugging turned on, so we know that we're good there. Let's double check. and make sure that our device is in the device manager correctly. It is. There it is. Okay. And we'll go and we'll hit the root. Now, before you root, you do have two options here. And I do want to talk about this just a bit. There is a CW, and this is supposed to be Clockwork Recovery. You have the ability of installing Clockwork Recovery onto this device at the time of rooting. I am not going to do that for the purposes of this video, but if you do choose to do that, this is where you can do it easily. Now, the Clockwork Recovery module is for installing custom ROMs, doing things that are on the bootloader end. That's something that if you choose to do that, then by all means, you're not going to hurt anything by installing this here now. I'm not going to do that for the purposes of this video, but again, that's up to you. It's optional. I'm not going to do it. I am going to hit root, however, and it tells you all of this stuff, basically what it's going to do, and it says press OK when you're ready, and so I'm going to press OK. So it's checking ADB, and it found it, which is good. And again, if it doesn't find it, you know to go and unplug it, plug it back in, restart the toolkit. So this screen looks very familiar. We've already seen this once. This was where it unlocked it, and so now it's going in. It's you know, the technicalities of it is it putting it in a different mode, and it's going in and changing some items, loading some things into your system files. Okay, so right now the computer is telling us that it's waiting for the device to finish booting back, and that's a good thing because essentially you know, it's rebooting, and this should be it. That we should be done, and we should be rooted. And we'll find out here in just a little bit. Okay, we're back up and running. It says that it's remounting your device with root, which is a good thing. It's pushing the SU, which is super user. This is what's needed to allow root apps that need root to be able to talk to the proper folders, which is all good. It's installing BusyBox, and we're going to take a look at BusyBox here again in just a moment. All right, so now it's telling us to finish the process and check to make sure you successfully rooted. Open Super SU, and it will prompt you to update the binaries. And then we open BusyBox, and we install that as well. So let's unlock the device. Okay, and we're going to go in, and you'll notice two new items here. The first new item is BusyBox Free, and the second new item is Super SU. So we're going to go into Super SU, and take a look, and if it comes up and it asks you, do you want to update the binaries, you say yes. It looks like mine's already up to date, which is fantastic. And then when you're done with that, you'll go into BusyBox Free, and it wants us to grant or deny. We're going to grant. Okay, good. Excellent. All right. So we can just close this little dialog box here. It's gathering information. All very, very good. And the nice thing is that this part right here is kind of the home stretch. This is the last little piece that you need to do. While that's spinning, I'm going to press OK here. And, you know, again, while this is spinning, I should go over a few other things here. You see the options to go back to stock, to flash the stock and unroot, or an OEM lock. So if you ever want to undo any of this, the options are here on the toolkit. So it's important that you realize that this is possible. So like I said, this is kind of the home stretch. So all we have to do is hit install down here. And it says that BusyBox has been granted super user permissions, which is good. And it's installing. BusyBox is kind of a behind-the-scenes app. It's not something you need to interact with at all. It's kind of a install and then forget it's there type of thing. It doesn't take up a lot of room. It's all necessary items here. Now, ultimately, having your device rooted is going to give you the capabilities of doing some things that you wouldn't have normally been able to do. One of the other videos that I'm doing down the road is going to be showing you how to use an app that requires root to allow you to plug in some devices to your Nexus 7 tablet, such as a USB sticks for extended storage, and some other fun stuff. So just be aware that this is kind of an important thing to do, in my opinion, and I'm sure that a lot of you out there are going to want to do this. So it looks like we are done. We hit home. All right, so this is it. You've unlocked the device and you've rooted it. So any application that you need root access for is now going to work, and I can actually demonstrate that. Well, I don't have anything that requires root right now, but like I said, you put an app on the device that requires root and you're going to be ready to go. Hopefully this goes as seamless for you as it did for me. For those of you who are having problems or you have questions about this, I have set up a special forum section on ReverendKyle.com where you can come in and ask me questions, and I'm usually pretty good to respond, or other people in my community will answer those questions the best they can. I do encourage you to check out my other videos. I will be doing a full series on the Nexus 7. I have other tablets such as the Kindle Fire and the HP Touchpad, which I also dabble in quite a bit. So hopefully, like I said, this ends up being as successful for you as it was for me. This has been Reverend Kyle, your Minister of Mobile Devices, showing you how to unlock and root your Google Nexus 7 tablet.